Let's take a look at this illustration of the communication process. Communication begins when a speaker or source of the message responds to a certain stimulus. For example, she is new to the place and wants to ask for directions. That's the stimulus or situation she is in. She encodes it or puts it in a certain way to express it to another person. So, to code something is to create a message that will be understandable to a receiver. The code can either be verbal or non-verbal or a combination of both. This code is then transmitted to a receiver through a particular channel. In this case, they are talking face to face. Other channels might include sending a message through a letter or an SMS, as in when you text someone, or when we're watching television or reading a newspaper, the channel would be called mass media. The other person, or the receiver of the message, then decodes or interprets the message received. To decode means to make sense of what you heard or what you listened to, and that is to analyze or to interpret. That's to decode. Her response will then be called feedback, which is according to how she understood the message. And in this case, the receiver now becomes the sender of a new message. This message is now transmitted back to the original sender, and so she encodes it into something sensible so that this becomes another stimulus to the receiver now, who was our sender earlier. Now, this stage, therefore, is what we call the transmission phase. So you see how the message had been transmitted and how the receiver makes a feedback out of that message. So we also call this the feedback phase. Now, what about the barrier or the noise that happens in the middle of two speakers or among more than two speakers? It cannot be avoided that any communication process could have barriers or noises. These could be physical barriers, as in a noisy background, or differences in language, biases between them, or a different interpretation of the intended message. These barriers are among the factors for miscommunication. Sometimes you mean one thing, but the listener takes it another way. For a communication process to be successful, the intended message must be understood by the receiver.